Hey everyone, this is Lance Earl. Yesterday I listened as President Obama thrashed senators that blocked a bill that would require mandatory background checks for gun purchases. Now, here's the crazy part. See, we already have a law that requires background checks on gun purchases, and the bill that the Senate blocked focused on two areas. One was gun shows, and the other was internet gun sales. Now, I would like to set the record straight. Gun shows. When you go to a gun show, there are a number of booths, and they're filled with gun dealers who have guns that they are offering. And when you purchase a gun, you cannot take possession until you pass a background check. That's how gun shows work. Now, what about internet sales? There are a number of dealers where you can buy a gun online. And when you do, that gun will not be shipped directly to you, but instead it will be shipped to a local dealer. And you will then go and pick your gun up, but only after passing a background check. So who is it that is buying and selling guns without background checks? Well, there is one area, and that is a private individual who is selling a gun to another private individual. On occasion, these people will show up at gun shows. Sure, they do, and they will use that as a venue to peddle their gun. Sure, and they also, when they have a gun for sale, they will advertise that on the internet, just like any other type of property that you would want to sell. Does this represent a hole in the law? Well, maybe. Is this something that should be plugged up? Maybe. You know, any reasonable person who has experienced, not experienced, but has watched the pain and vicariously experienced the things that those people have gone through with regard to these mass shootings has been touched. It shakes us to our very core, and we all, every one of us, would like to see something done to keep guns out of the hands of these crazy nut jobs. So the problem is not that we oppose strengthening the law to keep guns in the hands of safe and sane people. The problem is the way the government is going about it. And the first issue is who is trying to make these decisions? Biden is leading the charge. Now, this guy, I am sorry, but he is not qualified to take the reins and run with this. Recently, when he talked about a person defending themselves with a gun, he suggested that they first arm themselves with one of the most ineffective weapons they can get their hands on, and then they use that weapon to break the law and endanger their own lives. Hey, don't take my word. Take his.
Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here, or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to... You don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Did you hear what he has counseled his wife and other people to do? He says, when someone comes around to do you harm, do not stay behind locked doors where you're safe, where you are not seen by the bad people. Instead, go out on your porch. Stand on your porch where you are accessible and visible and attackable. Now, bring with you your pathetic double-barreled shotgun, and when you get on the porch, instead of using the only round you have, only 2, to protect yourself, point that gun in the air and fire those shots. Now, you are unarmed. Now, this is nuts. This is a recipe for disaster, and if anyone follows this idiot's counsel, They will be hurt. Secondly, name one town if you can, one city, where you can go out on your porch and legally fire rounds in the air. Everywhere I know, every city, every town, every community that I am aware of would call this a crime. Shouldn't the man who was leading the attack on gun control at least know that? Now, next up is Diana DeGette, a representative, congresswoman from Colorado. Now, she is leading the charge on high-capacity magazines. She wants to ban these things. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Thank you, Alicia. Well, as some of you may know, Congressman Perlmutter is the prime House co-sponsor on the assault weapons ban, and I'm the prime House co-sponsor on the ban of the high-capacity magazines. Very briefly, to your last question, what's the efficacy of banning these magazine clips? I will tell you, these are ammunition. They're bullets. So the people who have those now, they're going to shoot them. And so if you ban them in the future, the number of these high-capacity magazines is going to decrease dramatically over time because the bullets will have been shot and there won't be any more available.
Really? I mean, really? Are you kidding me? Here is a woman who is trying to change the Second Amendment. She is messing with people's constitutional guarantees. She is trying to ban something that she has no idea about. She thinks that a high-capacity magazine is something that can be shot once, and then it's garbage. You have to throw it away. She has no clue. This woman is, the people that were in that room during that conference, the only thing that they got out of that is that they went home dumber. Being around this woman just ups your dumb factor. It is unbelievable that someone who represents us, who is attacking the Second Amendment, who is trying to force gun controls on people, has no idea regarding the content of her own bill. In her defense, I'm going to give her one more chance to impress you with her eloquence, with her intelligence.
These magazine clips.
There you go. She is the queen of dumb. So the question in my mind is, what would be acceptable to gun owners? What kind of legislation could reasonable elected officials bring to us that we could accept? Now, I think that there is something, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but first, this. What will it be like, do you think, if you ever have to use your weapon to defend yourself or another person? Will it be an easy thing to do? I think not. Now, just so you know, I speak with a little bit of authority on this because my family became targeted by a Tacoma gang, and we have lived through attacks while in our vehicle. We have lived through home invasions. We know a little bit about what we speak. So here's the thing. If it happens to you, and God forbid, I hope you never have to face that, but if it does, will it be as calm and structured as your training on the range? Or do you think it's going to be hectic? Will you face emotional, physical stresses that you can't imagine now? Will the combination of fear and adrenaline and all the other things that play into a lethal event cause you to shut down and not be able to function? Well, I'll tell you what. At Dally Post Tactical, we take a very strong look at this very idea. That is why when you train with us, we will do everything we can to pile on dynamic stress. You will be faced with a target that fights back. You will be faced with the reality of having to accomplish a number of different tasks and do them correctly. And finally, you have to face me, because I am the instructor who is behind you, who is doing all I can to pile stress on to the point where you can't function, because you need to know where that point is. That's what we do that makes us so different. Our training is reality-based. Our training is dynamic. Our training is tough. And our training is a blast. Come join us. You can learn more at www.dallypost.com. That's DALLYPOST.com. Come by and have a look, and then give me a call. We'll get you going. Now, gun control legislation that just might work and would not offend those who are gun owners. Here's my idea. What if every person had the privilege of going down and adding an endorsement to their driver's license? Just like you do when you become an organ donor or when you get a commercial driver's license. These endorsements are on the back of your license. And so what if we could get an endorsement that indicated that we had taken and passed a background check? Now, sure, that's going to cost a little money, but I would pay for mine. Well, it's not going to be that much, $20, $25. And now you have on your driver's license an endorsement that says you have passed a background check. Now, what if instead of having the same person go through the hoops of having to have a background check every time he buys a gun, now when he purchases a gun, he simply shows his driver's license. It's a picture ID. You compare it to the face of the buyer. If everything matches up, you're good to go. And if the endorsement is in place, hey, the background check is taken care of. Now, a law could be written that would allow us to do this and that would require the seller of a gun to make a photocopy of this driver's license with its endorsements and keep that along with a government form. They can figure it out that would document the sale of this weapon. Then these forms would be required to be kept by the gun seller for a number of years, whatever that is. Now, here's the beauty. If this is done, every gun will have a path that can be followed. We will know that this gun was originally sold to so-and-so, and he sold it to this person, and he sold it to this person, and the government can track it down. And so when a gun is used for malicious purposes, the government can know where that gun has been and who has had that gun. Now, one other thing that I like about this idea a lot is that one of the biggest concerns gun owners have with the government way of doing this is that every time they register a gun transfer, they're creating a database of gun owners. We don't like that, and it's against the law. Per the Constitution, they cannot do that. And so my method would give law enforcement a path to follow if they need to, but if they don't need to, they would have no access to those records. The only person that would know where the gun went was the person that sold it to you. This makes sense. It is simple. It doesn't have to cost any money because each gun owner or each prospective gun buyer can pay for his own endorsement as he goes. It makes great sense to me. If this makes sense to you too, I would like to suggest that you contact your senators, your congressmen, and your state legislators and say, hey, here's an idea that makes good sense. Pass it on.